So how to break 90. You might have seen my recent video on how to break 100. We're going to take it a step further and give you 5 tips to help you break that 90 barrier. Let's start here on the tee at the 4th hole at Warrington Golf Club and see what you've got to do. So we're down on the tee at the 4th hole at Warrington Golf Club. Gorgeous little hole here, 352 yards, sweeping dog leg from left to right with some hazards in the way. And the first thing that I think that's going to help you break 90s, we talked about in the 100 series, if you haven't seen that, go and check that out as well, was about just getting a consistent position on the tee and where you should tee up from. But one of the things that I noticed when playing with friends, when they're starting to break the 100 and getting into breaking 90, one of the things that they start to do, they might not necessarily hit the tee shots better, but they take less penalties off the tee. And what I mean by that is we look up this hole now and we see the drone flying over. Along the hole we've got some trouble. We've got a bunker at 230 yards on the left hand side, but then on the right hand side I've got a water feature at 220 yards, which for a lot of people who are trying to break that 90 barrier would probably be where the driver's roughly getting up to, in that area of 200 to 240. So those hazards are right in play. So the person who's going to break 90 probably isn't having 5 or 6 shots around spent on penalty strokes where they may have knocked the ball out of bounds, they've put it into a water hazard, they've put it into a bunker that they can't go at the green. So the first thing that I want you to do to try and break 90 is cut those penalty strokes down when you're going off the tee. So for me here now, like I say, 352 yards, 230 to the left hand trap, 220 to the water on the right. So there's no point of me hitting a club that is going to go 230 yards, because if I push it right, I'm going to get into that water. If I head it straight at the trap, I'm going to go into the trap. So I want to pick something that is maximum going to go 215 for me. So what I'm going to do is select my 4-iron, knowing that if I crunch it, I'll just get up to the hazard nearly, but I won't get in there. And if I don't quite get it, I'll be shy of this trouble anyway. And also, then it actually leaves me a pretty decent shot into the green. I've only got 140 yards. I don't have to try and hit that driver straight down the middle and see that I've only got, 110, 100 yards, 90 yards, whatever it may be, and taking that trouble into play. Try and cut out the penalty strokes, take the hazards out of play, and there we're going to start breaking 90. Let's hit one away. Selected my target. I've got my 4-iron in the knowledge that I'm not going to reach any hazard here. Good confident swing, and we should see that we're not taking any penalty strokes. Nice, and it's straight at the trap, and because I've selected the correct club, I've pulled up just shy of it. Perfect. Let's move on down to the fairway and see the next tip that is going to help you break that 90. So as you can see, safely down on the fairway, and the good thing, because of my calculated decisions there, what I've been able to do is miss my bunker over here. I've pulled up a little bit shy, like I say, 230 to that one, so about 20 yards shy. But then over here on the right hand side was where that water was, and again pulled up shy of it. If it would have been a little bit leaky, I would have had that potential of going in, and straight away that's a wasted shot. If I do that 5 or 6 times around, all of a sudden those scores are starting to escalate. Second thing that we need to do to start breaking that 90, and this is more of a technical tip here. One of the things that I noticed from players who are definitely breaking the 100 barrier versus the player that is breaking the 90 barrier and then the 80, 70 is the consistency of strike. Whether it's even here where I've now got 150 yards to the center of the green, whether it's 200 yards out, whether it's 100, but it's that second shot when we get down on the fairway. We've got to make sure that even if we don't get the best strike, we're still actually covering pretty much 80% of the distance, because I bet people at home watching this would come up to this shot, think, great, I've got it in the fairway, go through their routine, select a club, and then all of a sudden, as they make the swing, we either hit the golf ball well behind it, top it, and it pretty much goes level up to that bunker. So what we've got to make sure, and this is probably a point where you need to go and watch some of my other videos in terms of like striking your irons and things like that, but if we just walk around here, one of the big things that I would see generally with an iron is that poor strike in terms of the club bottoming out at the wrong time. So in this point here, the second point, just to reiterate, if we're going to hit a good iron shot, we need to see that if I've taken my address, the ball would just be slightly in front of centre, and my club then would want to bottom out after the golf ball. I don't need to try and help it up into the air because I've got loads of loft. If I try helping it up, I'll probably be catching the ground early, I'll probably be getting the top of the golf ball, and it's not what we want. So one big feeling for you that I want you to try and work on, if you're someone who's always duffing your second shot, is focusing on the centre of the body. Where is that during your golf swing? Because what we would see in the backswing, it's most likely that it moves off the line there. So we see that now as I move back, I move behind the line. That's not what we want. We want to try and make a swing where as we take a good setup and we turn, we feel that the middle of the body still stays on the line here, not moving off. Then as I go into the downswing, I would want to feel that the middle of my body shifts forwards a little bit, and from there then rotates. So it's not behind and spinning out backwards. We want to try and stay on the line, shift it forwards and rotate. And if we can try and get the feeling of, as we finish, everything is looking at target this way, that should see that we get a nice balanced finish, and then I'll start to strike my shots more frequently, and that's going to lead to less duffs, again going to lead to breaking 90. So let's give this one a clip and see how we get on. It's a bit left. So there, great strike. Even though it wasn't quite the right direction, I've still managed to get it on the green, and like I say, it's not 20 yards down on me. So focus on those technical tips there to help you get a better strike, and we should start to see that we're getting rid of those second duff shots. Let's head down, take a look at the third tip. So the third tip to help you break 90 is all about the short game. And George, if you're watching, this one is for you. Because what I would notice with someone who's starting to break the 90, they're starting to embrace the short game a little bit more. And what I mean by that, a pal of mine, George, who I play golf with a couple of Sundays ago, he would very much use 7-iron for every single shot round the green. Now, in a scenario like this, where I've got some undulation, it might not be the shot that I need. And the reason that he was using 7-iron, because, you know, wasn't that confident with the sand wedge, but if we're going to get better at it, it can't stay in your bag. So, you know, I take my 7-iron here, and to be fair, I watched him play some shots and they were good, but the chances of me hitting a pretty decent one when there's loads of undulation here, I've got to bang it in, and there it just goes scooting on by, and all of a sudden that might have ended up off the green in some circumstances. If I can start to embrace one of my wedges, like my gap wedge here or my sand wedge, I can start to open up a few more possibilities when I'm in and around the green. So I'm not having to hit like the amazing perfect shot with the wrong club. I might just be able to hit a mediocre shot with the club that is actually suited a little bit more for the situation. So if you're looking to break that 90, you've got to start adding to your skill set. Now, we look at the best players in the world, they've got the best skill sets. How did they do it? They just practiced more and more. If we leave the wedges in our bag because we always duff them, they're never going to get any better. The person who's starting to lower the scores embraces their faults, their weaknesses, practices them, makes them better, and starts hitting better shots. So if it is a little chip shot like this where we need a little bit more loft, doesn't have to be anything spectacular, pretty narrow stance, maybe 2 club head widths apart, ball just in front of centre, weight length towards the lead side about 70%, and then just think about the triangle that's created between the hands and your shoulders here. And all we need to do is make a small rocking of this, let the body pivot, and there we should just get this little brush, and from there then we'll start to hit pretty decent golf shots without any real effort. Go on then, go in the hole. And that one didn't even feel like my best strike, but I've managed to hit it closer because this club was a little bit more situated to the shot. So embrace your weaknesses around the green, start working on them, and then you'll start to see that you're breaking 90. Let's move up onto the green, take a look at that fourth tip. Okay, tip 4 is all about keeping the round going when we get onto the putting greens. This length of putt now, a 6-foot putt. If we see the percentage pop up there of what a PGA Tour player holds, it's not that they hold them every time, but these are the putts that really keep the confidence rolling and keep our scores going. And it's probably one that I would imagine if you're in that camp of trying to break the 90, you do leave a few of these behind. And also when you're over them, more importantly, we're quite tentative. When we're 30, 40, 50, 20 feet even away from the hole, we're not expected to hold it. So we get over there, we don't feel as anxious as we stood over it, and we let the putter start to flow, and we actually trust what we're about to do. When we get over this one of the big things that I see is a lot of steering of it. So we would read it. If you do use the line on the ball, fantastic. If you don't, whatever your routine is to get your line, do as you do there. But when we actually get over these putts, what we've got to do is actually believe that we're going to hold it. And if you don't hold it, it's not the end of the world. If you're stood making a more confident stroke, you're more likely to hold it. If you stood over thinking, oh God, not this one again, I'm going to miss this, I'm going to miss this. And we get this sort of stroke where it looks like you're reluctant to hit the golf ball, then we speed up afterwards, we see the body looking for the putt almost a bit like so. We never get there, and the amount that are left short from this distance, and you're walking now thinking, oh God, why did I do that again? And then we end up tapping it in and it's not what we want. We've got to have some form of confidence, even if we don't hold it. Like I say, we've got to stand over it, almost tricking ourselves that we are going to hold it. Build up that belief. Yeah, I've never missed from 6 foot. I'm the best putter in the world from 6 foot. So when I do actually come into it, I make a nice confident stroke. I've picked my line. I trust my line that I'm about to hit this ball down on. I take my setup. I have a glance down my target line, one more, then pull the trigger, nice and confident. And then we start to see that we hold a few more putts there. Even that one that deviated a little bit, because I gave it a decent stroke, it had a better chance of going in. So when we get to these, like I say, momentum building putts, stand over it, thinking that we're gonna hold it. If you do that, you've got a better chance of making a positive stroke instead of being scared and trying to nurse it into the hole. Get up there, believe in yourself, and start holding them. Okay, so the 5th and final tip is all about this, the mind. As we start to lower our scores, our golfing IQ will be growing, which means basically our knowledge, our awareness when we're out on the golf course is getting better and better, because it's a skill to learn to hit the golf ball, but it's also a skill to learn to play the game of golf. What the pros don't do is stand there thinking, well, so far I've had 30 shots, right, well I can only take another 50 shots and that's 80, and whatever it may be. They're just thinking about the task at hand. So when I've made a putt on the last, great, I made a great putt, what have I got to do now? I'm on this next tee shot, where's the trouble, where do I want to hit it, and what shot do I want to do? Don't let the situation or the score build too much in your mind, especially later on in the round, holes 16, 17 and 18, where it might be you have 20 shots to play with those last 3, all of a sudden you take 21 because you were thinking about it. Get used to thinking a bit more about the task at hand. What's the trouble? What shot do I want to hit? Be positive, and then we'll start to see that we're breaking those 90s. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video this week. If you have, do hit that subscribe button for me down there. I want you to get better at golf. You're going to do that by joining me for your free lessons every week here on the channel. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for Break 80.